हेलो गाइस, नवनीत हियर बैक विद अनदर फ्रेग्रेंस रिव्यू। दोस्तों आज हम बात करने वाले 10 फ्रेग्रेंसेस की विच यू कैन बाई राइट नाउ बिकॉज अभी बिग बिलियन डेज एंड अमेजोन ग्रेट फेस्टिवल चल रहा है एंड इसमें 10 फ्रेग्रेंसेस के मैं बात करेंगे दोस्तों हम विच इज़ फ्रॉम अमेजोन, फ्लिपकार्ट एंड मिंत्रा। एंड मिंत्रा में फ्रेग्रेंसेस इसीलिए बिकॉज मिंत्रा के फ्रेग्रेंसेस आई थिंक आर मोर ट्रस्टेबल बिकॉज उनके फ्रेग्रेंसेस कम डायरेक्ट फ्रॉम द सोर्स। दे डू नॉट मिस हैंडल द प्रोडक्ट एंड आई एम मेकिंग दिस वीडियो ऑल्सो बिकॉज बहुत लोगों को फोमो है, फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट दैट वी वोंट बी एबल टू बाई दिस फ्रेग्रेंस और दैट फ्रेग्रेंस एंड वी माइट एंड अप बाइंग सम weird shit. So वैसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है दोस्तों. And in today's video we'll be talking about 10 fragrances which I think are truly budget friendly because the highest fragrance in the list is 1500 rupees and the lowest fragrance in the list starts from 300 rupees. So 300 रुपये से हमारा 1500 रुपये का रेंज होगा. And the first fragrance in the list is Wildstone Men's Ultra Sensual. So Wildstone के बहुत सारे fragrances मैंने बात की है. I've talked about Hydra, I've talked about the other Titanium series, the Code series and all of these fragrances. But Ultra Sensual एक fragrance है जो I think I've missed out somewhere because Ultra Sensual is one of the fragrances which is somewhat of an old school type of fragrance. बहुत ही एक vintage premium feel देता है आपको, but at the same time very linear. So linear notes है उसके fragrance के and it is somewhat of a very old school typical fresh kind of fragrance. So fresh fragrance है, fresh category में fragrance fall करेगा, but it is very old school. Keeping it very simple, I think the cost of the fragrance right now is the best because 300 रुपये में आपको मिंत्रा में मिल जाएगा. I'll be adding a link in the description down below. I think that the notes are not very important because at the end of the day this is about the lasting and the projection and lasting. बात करें दोस्तों, projection बहुत अच्छी है fragrance की. I love the projection because it gives you a very premium rich feel as I already said, and the lasting of the fragrance is around 4 to 5 hours. So 4 to 5 hours lasting and the cost of the fragrance is 300 rupees right now for 100 ml. Moving on to the second fragrance. The fragrance in our list is Yardley London's Gentleman Royale, and I already made a short on this. And the fragrance is actually somewhat you can say of a clone because इसके top notes जो होते हैं, इसके fragrance के top notes are of chocolate and the base is of musk. So chocolatey musk एक fragrance है and this is falls in the gourmandish category. So the first fragrance was a fresh category fragrance and the second fragrance is a gourmandish sweet category fragrance. Gourmandish notes say what I mean is something which is very chocolatey sweet, which has notes of caramel and these kind of notes. ये सब notes को gourmandish notes बोलते हैं because it feels like they are edible but they are not. And still I think that this fragrance is a good budgeted fragrance right now because अभी जो आपको सेल में 35% ऑफ के बाद मिलेगा. I actually bought this fragrance for 600 rupees and right now this fragrance is for 421 rupees. So this is a bang for the buck kind of product and you can go and buy this fragrance right away because ये एक fragrance है दोस्तों जो आपको बहुत सारे compliments दिलाएगा. I think that this is the highest rated fragrance in the cheapest categories. मतलब अगर आप सस्ते कैटेगरी में देखोगे फ्रेग्रेंस का, बजट फ्रेंडली फ्रेग्रेंसेस देखोगे, उसमें आपको हाईएस्ट रेटिंग मिलेगा इस फ्रेग्रेंस का. द रेटिंग ऑफ द फ्रेग्रेंस इज 4.5 एंड आई थिंक दैट दिस काइंड सॉर्ट ऑफ रेटिंग ओनली कम्स फ्रॉम अ ब्रांड लाइक यार्डले बिकॉज यार्डले का बहुत साल का एक्सपीरियंस है. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट फ्रेग्रेंस ऑन द लिस्ट एंड द नेक्स्ट फ्रेग्रेंस इज फ्रॉम द ब्रांड बियर्डो. सो बियर्डो कैसे मिस आउट कर सकते हैं बिकॉज बियर्डो हैज़ एक्चुअली एक्वायर्ड 30 to 40% ऑफ द एंटायर परफ्यूम मार्केट इन इंडिया बिकॉज बियर्डो के फ्रेग्रेंसेस हो गए, विलन के फ्रेग्रेंसेस हो गए, ये सब फ्रेग्रेंसेस काफ़ी ज़्यादा बिकते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ द हाइप. एक फ्रेग्रेंस है जो आपको अभी एक अच्छे सॉर्ट ऑफ डील पे मिल जाएगा बिकॉज फ्रेग्रेंस कॉस्ट इज 516 rupees for 100 ml and 300 something around for 50 ml. So if you want the 50 ml, I'll be adding a link to the 50 ml and the 100 ml. And I think that 100 ml is a fragrance you should go for right now because this is something what you would call a more मैस्कुलिन सॉर्ट ऑफ फ्रेग्रेंस. मैस्कुलिन फ्रेग्रेंस हो गया. सो पहला हमारा फ्रेश फ्रेग्रेंस था, सेकंड हमारा था एक थोड़ा सा गोर्मांडिश फ्रेग्रेंस एंड द थर्ड इज अ टोटल स्ट्रॉन्ग मैस्कुलिन फ्रेग्रेंस. तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग होगा. मीडियम पोजीशन नहीं होगी इसकी, काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग पोजीशन होगी, बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब स्ट्रॉन्ग नोट्स होंगे एंड आई थिंक दिस फ्रेग्रेंस कम्स आउट टू बी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग एट टाइम्स. अगर ये फ्रेग्रेंस की बात करें दोस्तों तो ये फ्रेग्रेंस आपको कॉम्प्लीमेंट चीज़ें दिलाता है बिकॉज इसके नोट्स काफ़ी यूनिक है. प्लस इसमें विस्की का यूज़ नहीं है बट स्टिल दिस इज़ somewhat of a fragrance which is inspired from those kind of notes which try to give you something more masculine, something more leathery, something more let's say oud based तो नहीं है basically fragrance but apart from oud anything which comes masculine in your mind, that is the kind of fragrance we can go for whiskey smoke. And the best part about this fragrance is that there is excessive vetiver in this fragrance. So vetiver की वजह से क्या होता है दोस्तों, एक smokiness आती है हर fragrance में and this has a lot of smokiness. So smokiness fragrances जैसे कि क्रीड के फ्रेग्रेंसेस हो गए उसमें भी बहुत ज़्यादा स्मोकीनेस है बिकॉज ऑफ द वेटिवर. सो वेटिवर की वजह से जो स्मोकीनेस आती है आई थिंक दैट समवेयर डाउन द लाइन पीपल लाइक दोज काइंड ऑफ फ्रेग्रेंसेस एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट I added whiskey smoke in the list and Beardo का fragrance है, so a lot of people trust Beardo and this might come off to be something sort of good or a bad review because इसके बीच का कोई रिव्यू नहीं है. there is no gray area in this fragrance, either it is a good fragrance or a bad fragrance. People might not like it or people might love it. So ये type of fragrance है and the fragrance cost is 516 rupees again. Production of the fragrance good enough, longevity of the fragrance 4 to 5 hours again. Moving on to the next fragrance. The next fragrance in the list is my personal favorite and I've used this fragrance for a very long time and the fragrance is Ustra After Dark. Ustra After Dark का सबसे अच्छा बात है because This is strong masculine fragrance again, but the base of the fragrance is leather. So एक raw leather, एक edgy leather का fragrance है, and total lifetime of the fragrance has some amount of freshness in the top, but the total lifetime of the fragrance is very masculine, very strong. So strong fragrances में मुझे ये काफ़ी ज़्यादा पसंद आया था, and I like the bottling, the packaging of the fragrance because everything about this speaks a lot of class. Plus this comes from the brand Ustra, and I think that Ustra के जो fragrances हैं, they are very good. For one, I tried Barood, and Barood was also a very good fragrance, but right now I think that After Dark beats it because After Dark is much more, gives much better projection. Not only projection, इसका longevity भी बहुत ज़्यादा है, and I applied it on an evening, and the next day I could still smell it very close to the skin though, but still I could smell this, and that counts for something because अगर आप एक फ्रेग्रेंस को 8 घंटे 9 घंटे बाद भी अगर इवन इट इज़ वेरी क्लोज टू द स्किन एंड यू कैन स्टिल स्मेल इट, आई थिंक दैट इज समथिंग विच वी शुड टॉक अबाउट. प्लस द कॉस्ट ऑफ द फ्रेग्रेंस इज वेरी सुपर चीप, सो 557 रुपीज़ फॉर द फ्रेग्रेंस राइट नाउ. अब हमने अभी तक जो फ्रेग्रेंसेस बात की, सारे फ्रेग्रेंसेस आपके 500 रुपये के रेंज के अंदर है, एंड I'm not calculating whether it is 50 rupees up or down because उतना buffer चलता है, but still this is a good fragrance, and plus this is a good deal because you can get all of these 4 fragrances for 2000 rupees. So 2000 रुपये के इन्वेस्टमेंट में आपको ये चारों fragrances मिल जाएंगे. You will have 1 fresh fragrance, 1 sweet fragrance, and 2 masculine strong fragrances. So if you want to switch, there is another switch, and we'll be talking about that. So ये 4 fragrances आपको इसीलिए because you won't feel that you are missing out on opportunities, and you will have some sort of fragrance which is meant for all occasions. So evening के लिए, night time के लिए you can apply Ustra, and for morning fresh fragrances just out of shower you can apply the fragrance that is Wild Stone, Ultra Sensual, and just if you want a fragrance which is very casual, has tried to keep it very casual, and the fragrance I love is the next fragrance, and this fragrance is Scuba. Scuba जो fragrance है, this is a very casual fragrance. This is actually a clone of a very designer fragrance, and the fragrance is Mont Blanc Legend. आप में से जो मुझे फॉलो करते हैं उन्हें ऑलरेडी पता है कि ये क्लोन किसका है, and this is not only a good clone but this is a fresh super casual fragrance. So casual dating के लिए अगर आप if you are a college teenager, this is a fragrance you go to because this is one fragrance which I think is very good. Competitive pricing है इस fragrance का first of all. Secondly, I think this gives a good projection, and overall this gives more compliments to the age range of 20 to 25. So 20 to 25 का age range है आपका, you will get a lot of compliments from this fragrance, and the cost of the fragrance is right now at 495 rupees. So again a fragrance under 500 rupees. So 5 fragrances मिला के भी अभी आपका 2500 का बजट आया. So 2500 में you will get 5 fragrances, unlike other channels which will ask you to buy 1500, 1200, 1300 के fragrances, या even costlier fragrances like 3000, 4000 में आपको बोलेंगे fragrances खरीदने के लिए. Right now I don't think that is the right time to invest right now because budget friendly fragrances पहले आप apply करो. You try the fragrance, if you like the notes, then you can go for the original version because the original version will be much more potent, right? But still अगर आपको उसके notes पसंद नहीं आए, अगर मान लो आपने एक fresh fragrance खरीद लिया, let's say Aqua di Gio, and if you are not into fresh after shower kind of fragrances, then what is the point because you won't be using the fragrance. I have around more than 200 fragrances, but I use only 10 to 15 fragrances which I like. So वैसा ही होता है दोस्तों, you don't use every fragrance you have in the cupboard, and बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि अगर आप एक खराब बाई कर लो, you won't be able to apply the fragrance because you won't be able to pull it off because एक confidence आता है fragrances में, and if you do not accept the fragrance, how do you expect others to accept the fragrance? Because अगर आप उसे confidence से नहीं पहन सकते तो how will you get compliments on the fragrance? And talking about the next fragrance in the list, the next fragrance is again one of the best fragrances I would feel because this fragrance, अगर आपको कोई fragrance नहीं खरीदना लिस्ट में, you buy only one and only one fragrance, and I assure you that this fragrance will get you compliments. मेरी गारंटी है. Fragrance is from Jeanne Arthes, and the fragrance is JS Magnetic Power Uday Toilet Concentration and 100 ml. Now this fragrance is special because this fragrance is not only a good fragrance, this is not only a very sensual masculine kind of fragrance, but this is actually a clone of a very designer fragrance, and the fragrance is L'Homme Ideal by Yearn. And Yearn the fragrances जो होते हैं, that is quite luxurious in the smell, in the notes, and all of these fragrances. So if you just look at the notes, you will see that notes of the fragrances are very different from the typical notes which you experience in most of the fragrances. हर fragrance में अगर आप एक fresh fragrances category में देखोगे, you will see notes like bergamot, you will see notes like fresh citrusy notes, you will see more oceanic notes. I think this fragrance has a very different accords, and the accords of the fragrance are different because इसके top में you will feel bitter almond. So bitter almond का एक note है इसके fragrance में top में, and I think that this is what makes this fragrance something of a sensual, evening kind of fragrance, party like fragrance, and this fragrance will get you a lot of compliments. I assure you this because I have tried this fragrance, love this fragrance. इनके जो ब्रांड है, JS की जो ब्रांड है, इसके ब्रांड के सारे फ्रेगरेंसेस ही काफ़ी अच्छे हैं, and this fragrance is one of my personal favorite, and the notes of the fragrance are citrusy, aromatic, sweet. So citrusy, aromatic, sweet, and थोड़ा बहुत citrus in the top but with bitter almonds. So आप imagine कर सकते हो कैसा एक complex note आएगा. The more complex the note is, the difficult it is to make, and plus the difficult it is to make, the costlier it is, and right now it is for a very good deal. So you get this fragrance. Typically this fragrance will cost you around 1100 rupees. बट अभी इन्होंने प्राइस बढ़ा दिया है, सो 1590 का इन्होंने 60% ऑफ दे रहे हैं, एंड स्टिल यू गेट दिस फ्रेग्रेंस फॉर 636 रुपीज़। 636 रुपीज़ में अगर आपको एक फ्रेग्रेंस चाहिए फॉर 640 रुपीज़, यू गेट दिस फ्रेग्रेंस। Try this fragrance, you will love this, I assure you. Moving on to the next fragrance, again from the same brand, and this one is for people who want something more fresh. So बहुत लोग बोलते हैं कि रैल्फ लॉरेन का एक पोलो फ्रेग्रेंस आता है, एंड पोलो स्पोर्ट्स, दैट इज द फ्रेग्रेंस which we are going for, and the fragrance का क्लोन, अगर आप क्लोन बोलोगे, ऑल्टरनेटिव बोल लो, आप उससे इंस्पायर्ड वर्जन बोल लो, द इंस्पायर्ड वर्जन इज अगेन फ्रॉम JA ब्रांड, एंड द फ्रेग्रेंस इज JS मैग्नेटिक पावर, बट दिस टाइम इट्स नेवी ब्लू। सो नेवी ब्लू एडिशन जो है, दैट इज द क्लोन ऑफ Ralph Lauren's Polo Sports, and this is somewhat of a very blue fragrance, काफ़ी ज़्यादा blue है, aromatic citrusy fragrance, and I think that this has some aldehydic notes which make this fragrance around, आपको aldehydic note से क्या होता है, बहुत सारे fragrances में, almost हर fragrances में aldehydes ऐड होते हैं as a base, and if you understand basic perfumery, you will understand that aldehydes इसलिए ऐड होते हैं so that it gives a better longevity, and longevity wise this is one of the longest lasting perfumes from their brand. Plus right now this is on a sale for the same price, 640 रुपीज़, जैसा हमारा पहला फ्रेग्रेंस था. So you can go and buy both of these fragrances. अगर आपको ये चारों fragrances भी, पहले वाले 4 fragrances नहीं खरीदने, go and try both of these fragrances, and दोनों आपको combo मिला के it will cost you around 1280 रुपीज़, and 1280 में you will have 2 fragrances. One is an extra strong masculine fragrance, and the second one is a super fresh fragrance. So casual dating के लिए, morning के लिए the fragrance is navy blue, and for evening you have the power EDT. So power EDT is more than enough for the evening and will cover almost all of the occasions. And let's talk about the next fragrance in the line, and the next fragrance is from Ajmal. So how can we miss on Ajmal, because Ajmal के fragrances अभी बहुत ज़्यादा डील पे चल रहे हैं, प्लस बहुत सारे fragrances थे मैंने ऐड नहीं किया because I think that will become very overbearing, because I think people will have this FOMO that okay, we missed this deal, maybe this deal will not come again. सब deals वापस आएंगे दोस्तों, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. The next fragrance from the brand is Ajmal, and Ajmal के fragrances इसीलिए because Ajmal के fragrances are on a very cheap discount right now. बहुत सारा डिस्काउंट इन फ्रेग्रेंसेस में, प्लस द फ्रेग्रेंस क्वालिटी ऑफ द फ्रेग्रेंस, जो नोट्स होता है फ्रेग्रेंस का, सेंट प्रोफाइल होता है फ्रेग्रेंस का, अजमल का फ्रेग्रेंस प्रोफाइल इज ऑन द टॉप नॉच, बिकॉज ये सारे क्वालिटी इंग्रेडिएंट्स यूज़ करते हैं, अनलाइक मेनी फ्रेग्रेंसेस हाउस विच यूज चीप इंग्रेडिएंट्स. You will never expect these things from Ajmal, because Ajmal के fragrances जो होते हैं, these are premium top class fragrances, and I personally love all of their fragrances. But the fragrance I would suggest you guys to go for today is Ajmal Immulse. Now Ajmal Immulse is a fragrance which you will get on Myntra only right now, and I was thinking of going for Ajmal Yearn, because Yearn का क्या एक खासियत था, because Yearn has a very good note and बहुत काफ़ी एक blue fragrance है, so one of the freshest fragrance from the lot, but still the con is that it does not give a very good performance. Right now you can go and buy this fragrance, that is also for a sale, but उसका performance बहुत poor है, so बहुत poor performance है, and that is not very strong, but the smell of the fragrance is absolutely killer. But still I think that Immulse is much better, because this is not only much more refined, much more strong, but at the end of the day this has much more better projection, better quality of materials in this fragrance. The top notes of fragrance are of lemon, so lemon का एक citrusy note रहेगा. Apart from lemon you will see there is some unique notes of carnation and rose. So in the base there is rose essentially oud के साथ mix होता है, but what they have done is they have tried to mix a citrusy blend with rose, which is somewhat very different, because बहुत सारे brands use करते हैं rose, but they essentially use rose water, but the fragrance in this is somewhat of a different league, and the base notes are of woody patchouli and vetiver. So उनके वहाँ पे जाके मत पढ़ना vetiver is not an element, it is vetiver. So vetiver की वजह से थोड़ा सा smokiness आता है इस fragrance में, plus the quality of the fragrance is super good. Green fragrance है काफ़ी, and herbaceous fragrance है, and herbaceous fragrance के category में अगर another so herbaceous fragrance की category में fall करेगा ये fragrance, and good projection of the fragrance, longevity of the fragrance is again 4 to 5 hours, and this fragrance you will get right now on a 67% off, and the fragrance cost is 495. So again a 500 rupees under 500 rupees fragrance. Moving on to the last fragrance in the list, and this is my personal favorite, and I would ask all of you guys to try this fragrance if you want to switch from celebrity fragrances, from local branded fragrances to something of a designer fragrance. So designer fragrance के category में all of you must have heard of a brand, and the brand is Nautica. So Nautica Voyage का जो offer है right now, there is 2 offers. The first one is on Amazon, and the offer is of 1600 rupees. Not worth it, because price बढ़ा दिया उन्होंने, 3200 का box नहीं है वो, and that is actually a box worth 2800 rupees. But still उन्होंने प्राइस बढ़ा दिया, and they have deducted it by 50%, and a lot of people are saying that this is a good deal. No, that is not a good deal. I can get you that deal around 5 times a year. So वैसा डील के लिए आप मत वेट करो, but you can go and buy this fragrance instead, and this fragrance is again from Nautica, and the fragrance is Nautica Voyage Sports. Now sports में और Nautica Voyage में difference क्या है? Basic difference is that this has a citrusy note थोड़ा सा टैंगी है, थोड़ा सा जिंगी है, बट दिस इज़ मच मोर फ्लेवरफुल, ज़्यादा फ्लेवरफुल है। एंड बहुत लोगों को नॉटिका वोयाज ही पसंद आता है बिकॉज इट इज़ मच मोर ब्लू एंड मच मोर फ्रेश। सो वो ज़्यादा फ्रेश है, बट दिस इज़ लिटिल बिट टैड बिट मोर सिट्रसी। तो सिट्रसी थोड़ा नोट होगा, बट सम वॉट इट रिजेंबल्स द सेम, मतलब जैसे कि आप समझ लो कि टाटा सफारी और हैरियर है, वैसे ही है। सो दिस इज़ द एल्डर, दिस इज़ द सफारी एंड दैट इज़ द हैरियर। सो हैरियर बहुत लोगों को पसंद आता है बिकॉज इट इज़ द बेस्ट कार इन द 5 सीटर रेंज, बट 7 सीटर रेंज में जैसे आओगे सफारी इज़ द बेस्ट इन द लीग। सो सफारी सॉर्ट ऑफ फ्रेग्रेंस है ये, एंड द फ्रेग्रेंस इज़ नॉटिका वोयाज स्पोर्ट्स। This fragrance you get for a 60% discount and the fragrance will cost you only 1280 rupees. So 1300 रुपये का हमारा फाइनल फ्रेग्रेंस हो गया. This is again under 1500 rupees. As I told you, the last fragrance will be under 1500 rupees. And इससे सस्ता जो फ्रेग्रेंस है, I think you won't get any fragrance from Nautica. Plus you get to upgrade from celebrity fragrances like Fresh. And at the end of the day, you get Nautica Voyage का same elements, same notes, similar DNA, but the only difference is this is much more citrusy. So citrusy version है, and the fragrance is Nautica Voyage Sports. And this was the final fragrance in our list. So this sums up the 10 fragrances. If you have any doubt, do let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. Signing off, Navneet. I hope all of you have a good day ahead.